G'day, Vets fans. How are we today? Road America. So, firstly, thanks to everyone who checked out the vid last week about this. Hopefully, it was beneficial for you. Feel free to chuck a subscribe at the old YouTube channel or follow us on Facebook. But yeah, hopefully that was beneficial and helpful. So we'll go again this week, same format, same layout, and how I do it each week. But yeah, Road America, great track, really good fun track, good racing track, plenty of passing opportunities. This is my first couple of laps this morning, and in the server and on the dock. The dock feels really quite nice. On this lap, I've gone 3.3 forward on the bias. But that was just to test something, and this lap it worked. 64.3 I think is the base for the bias, and it feels completely fine. Feels exactly the same as this. So yeah, not the cleanest lap, but like I say, I prefer to have a not clean lap so we can show problems as well as just a perfectly clinically clean lap. So yeah, pretty happy with it. So we'll play it through on board, and then we'll do what we do, and we'll watch it back. But yeah. Spot the mistakes. Still a decent lap time, 209.052 on that lap. But yeah, there's a couple of tenths left in it pretty comfortably, I think. If we just tidy it up, and holy shit, that's not where we want to be. Yeah, tidy it up a bit and get it right. But look, overall, it's not a bad lap. Pretty tidy and a good one to be able to review back. So, see, there was a couple, probably 3 spots where I lost time on that lap. Sure you can pick them up. Last corner was an obvious one. That cost me close to, I think it was about 800-900 down the straight. Lost there, and a couple of little mistakes on entry in through the middle of the lap, but early days, just getting a rhythm. See a lot of brake modulation, something that I do at this track, but when you get into the trail brake, try and keep it nice and smooth. The reason I modulate is because a lot of the braking zones are quite bumpy here, and downhill braking zone into turn 3. Very easy to pinch a front there. So especially in qualifying, you want to maximise your braking zone there. So you need to really push hard. But yeah, you will you will lock the front if you're not careful. So look, pretty straightforward stuff. There's a lot of straights. So brake marker into here, same as what I talked about last week. So using the good old windscreen wiper or the windshield support, the Larry bar. Oh, it's not even a Larry bar. They don't have a Larry bar in these cars anymore. It's interesting. It's the Perspex windscreen is stronger than the old glass. But look, brake marker, I'm a bit early here, which isn't a bad thing. But a little bit earlier than what I know I can push. So into here on this lap, I'm a tenth down on where I should be. But look, effectively, you're looking towards the end of the concrete wall here. So really about there is where I want to be braking. So probably about 10 meters early there. But the beauty of braking a bit early into turn one is that you can really sort of come out of the brake nicely, trail nicely, and the car really comes in quite nice into the corner. Everything about turn one is corner entry and mid corner speed. If you brake too deep here, you scrub way too much speed off in the middle of the corner and you can't flow it. So you want to carry momentum in, get the car on the curb, and really focus on picking up the throttle early whilst you're in there. So we'll play this through. Really dislike this last week, sorry, and I'll continue to say it, but anyway. So you can just see a little bit of modulation there, not too much into turn one because it's pretty smooth. And then just that nice trail on the way down, nice and smooth. Get the car into the curb, still trailing. Bang, pick up the throttle as soon as the car's in. Once you feel that nose in on there, start picking up the throttle, but don't get too aggressive. And as you come out to the curb, you want to be getting up towards 100% throttle. Sounds easy, but it is a tricky corner because if you do push too hard into here, you can just see a little bit of a light grey spot there. The track just drops away a little bit there. So if you carry too much brake in and you try and angle it in, you're going too quick. So you try and angle the car in, you tend to lock the front. You'll lock the inside left. So you'll lock that front and it'll just carry on. So nice and smooth all the way in. Like I said, good momentum into the corner. Small amount of trail just to keep the weight on the nose and get back into the throttle as soon as you can. Excuse me. It's very rude, very unprofessional. Down the hill, pretty straightforward. So up into fourth gear, pretty early on the exit. Down here there's two options. You can go to fifth, not advisable, but you can go to fifth. If you do go to fifth, you need to brake a little bit earlier because you're just going to carry a little bit more forward momentum, obviously. Fourth gear, you can carry it on the limiter, and you can push pretty deep. You can push in sort of, I don't know what it looks like from a cockpit point of view. It's kind of by feel, but yeah, you are towards that, just past the two board. Just past the two board, sort of, yeah, call it the white thingies at the back. But it is, as you sort of go past the wall, is where you want to start braking. So yeah, my personal opinion is that yeah, fourth is better. Again, nice smooth brake down the hill, good trail brake. Get the car rotated in nice and early to the curb, and pick up the throttle. Now it's probably just a touch late to the curb here. Probably want it to be there just a little tighter so you can use the grip on the curb a little bit more. It does rotate nicely off it, so you can just see I'm sort of a little bit off. Just probably want to be quick here coming off instead of there coming off. Really small thing, but what it does is it changes how quickly you can get onto the throttle, and obviously with this straight, that's really important. So you can see the car's just pushing out a little bit. I can get back to the throttle there nicely, but really I probably want it to be on the throttle close to full about here, just a little bit earlier. And I know it's nothing, it's bugger all, but in qualifying, when you got no draft, you got no car in front of you, it'll add up to a few hundreds down the straight. So yeah, definitely want to get on that throttle nice and early. Use that curb. You can kick a bit of dirt up there. That's no dramas. It's not an off track. So use the track width again as best you can. Down the straight again. Make sure you're hitting Yeah, and you would have seen hopefully on the onboard. Gyro, there it is. Talk about it quite a fair bit. When you get to the red light, there, that's your shift point. When they're flashing at you, you're leaving it too late. So if you're waiting for the lights to flash, in my opinion, it's too late. And you don't hear on board how bad you're bouncing the thing off the rev limiter. So yeah, try and get it done before you see the flashlight. You know, if you delay it a bit while it's red, that's fine. But if you're waiting for the red, sorry, for the flash, chances are you're going to just catch the limiter. So that's just my 2 cents. At a track like this, makes a massive difference because it's all forward momentum stuff. So a little bit of limiter is a little bit of time. But anyway, down the hill we go. So here, the whole straight is about minimizing distance. Yeah, you don't want to go wide everywhere. So certainly, you know, get in nice and close onto the line here. Again, you're shortening the track up, and then you can kind of straight line it into the next bit. So you've got two line options here. You've got one where you can run it quite narrow in here and break out to the curb, or you can run quite wide here and rotate the car back and go towards the curb. There's two different theories to it. If you can break the car roughly where I am, I guess, is where I like to be. But that changes depending on your racing situation. But the straighter you can break the car here, the better it's going to be. So if you're over here, we'll just play forward a bit here. So if you're over this side, you can see you've got a constant radius all the way in. So you're constantly going to be turning left whilst you're trying to brake the car. Not ideal. Chances are you're going to just lock a front, especially as the race goes on, tyres wear. You might lock a front. Once you lock that front, you hurt that tyre. It's as simple as that. So I run kind of mid-track. You see, I turn the car in, but once I get to the brakes, I've got the steering wheel very straight. I don't. I'm going to make that bigger. Can you make that bigger? You can make that bigger. What's that? Here we go. Yeah. So yeah, keep the steering wheel nice and straight. So as you bring it in there, you can see there's very little steering input. A little bit left hand down, but not a lot, just to make sure that the car gets to there. Get it out over the curb. You can just see there's a mistake. So it's a really small mistake. So I didn't get it. Boom. So you're either here or you're all the way there. So what I did, I'll just move this down a little bit so it isn't quite in the way. What am I doing? There we go. So because I was 50-50, as I turned the car in, the rear stepped sideways. I was able to hold it, but you'll see in the steering lock, I go to a bit of right hand down to save the slide. So, and then the car kind of four-wheel slides in, so it has a bit of slip angle. But yeah, so definitely you want to stay on the curb or just get over the curb. Plenty of grip on this, but you don't want to obviously go too far. It will off track. But yeah, so that's kind of how you approach turn 3. Like I said, I square the car up, break it nice and straight around about the 4 forward, and shoot the car at the curb. You can see here as I rotate it in, bang, there's the slide. So a little initially, and then you can see the amount of understeer. I had to grab the brake in the middle of the corner. So pretty average, but that just shows what can go wrong. And you can see the slide there. So the entire right side of the car is not happy. And when I say a quarter slide, so there's steering lock out. So you can feel it straight away. So turning the car in, happy days, bang, it lets go in the rear, and you straighten the wheel up. All right, if you let that go too long, you'll be sliding too far into the corner. So grab it early and then get the car turning back in again. As you can see, I had to grab the brake again. So not perfect. And then that delays the exit a little bit because the car's a bit unhappy and up the hill. I've got to say, this set handles this corner very well. It is a tricky little corner because there's a bump in the middle of it in the braking zone, which can unsettle the rear of the car. I've got to say, it rides that bump really nicely and lets you sort of push a little bit into here and get the car rotated in. So definitely, yeah, you see just there, it's really minute. It's easy to see if you play it at normal speed. Boom, there. Really easy to lock the rears there. So I broke a little bit early. Definitely as I'm getting used to the setup, I'll start pushing it a little bit harder. But yeah, nice pedal application, nice and smooth. Just over that bump nicely, down to second gear, rotate the car in quite early. You want to get it to the curb. And even if you can just get a little bit inside of the curb, as you see there, that'll just help the car rotate a bit. And then pick up the throttle really nice and smooth. So again, it's all about early throttle application here. So you can see as soon as I'm ready, the car's in, bang, back on the throttle. Not too aggressive, and then use that exit curb and get back to full throttle as soon as possible. Now, get the car back to the left as soon as you can. Okay, don't dick around in the middle. And really it's about where you come out here dictates what that looks like. But you want to get the car back to the left as soon as you can. Now, I haven't tried, there's two different ways you can attack this corner. Some people short shift to fourth here. I haven't tried it yet. Traditionally, I would short shift to fourth, certainly in the Gen 2 car. I haven't tried it. So far, I've just been using third through here. I've only done literally 2 flyers. So, yeah, I use third at the moment. Get the car right out to the white line. Be very careful of the grass, though. That's obviously as close as you want to be. You can catch a little bit of grass, but it's going to help with rotation. So that's a good thing. But, you know, if you don't get it right, you'll be opposite lock on the way into the apex here, and you'll be saying g'day to the tyre wall out here if you're lucky. So yeah, just try and minimize this, or maximize the track whilst minimizing the usage of grass there. So you're flat. I lift all the way out, no brake. Yeah, 0 brake into there. I don't think I even have a non-brake light moment. No. So there, and then a little bit of throttle. So come out of the throttle to get the weight on the nose, and you will note from an onboard point of view, but you can see it in the steering, that my initial hit is very sharp on the steering wheel to get the car starting to rotate. So if you watch the steering wheel, bang, really, really aggressive to get the car rotating, and then just smooth in. Now, I grabbed a little bit of brake in the middle. Not the end of the world. That was just to get a bit of weight on the nose. Off the exit, early into fourth. And that's why I say you might be able to get through there in fourth gear, but you will get a little bit more understeer. So it's just something to balance. But if you can balance the car through there in third, I don't see it being a problem. But try fourth as well. You just need to approach the corner slightly differently. But like I said, on exit here, pick up the throttle, get to fourth gear as quickly as the car is balanced, and bang, away you go. Use all of that exit all the way out there. A little bit of grass, but you just want to avoid, if you're still turning the car right here and you catch that grass, it's probably the slipperiest piece of grass at Road America. It will fire you in the fence. So just be really mindful of that. If you want to use it, you really need to maximize the exit. And as you can see, steering wheel straight. So you're driving the car off using a Madison Down Synergy from Phillip Island that he taught me years ago. The curb angle kind of tells you where you should be going. So you're using this as a track limit, and then you should be utilizing that angle as you line off the corner. So nice and smooth off. Down to here, so I go to fifth. Again, some people hold fourth. I prefer just a little bit of momentum into here. And I brake at the 3 line from an onboard point of view. Bang, there it is there. So from an onboard, I'm using the white line. I broke a little bit early here. It's definitely can push, and when I say early, if I didn't maximize the white line, a couple of meters there that you can still push a bit deeper. But yeah, so that's where I'm breaking into here, and I use fifth, like I said. Otherwise, you just carry the limiter, in my opinion, a little too long. But yeah, so that's my view of the world here. Let's play back a bit. Again, pretty solid brake application. You hit the pedal pretty hard. Try and stay nice and consistent with it, and then a nice trail as you come in. So you can just see really nice. I've been working. Oh, fucking God, it pisses me off. working on my trail brake of late, and it's certainly tidying up a bit. But nice early rotation, good trail in. Again, this is another corner when you want to get over the curb a little bit and just grab a bit of grass if you can. Pick up that throttle nice and early, and get out to the concrete here on the exit. Now I didn't get all the way out there, and that was because I broke a few meters earlier. So I know it sounds silly, but those few meters is a few extra k's an hour, which means my mid corner speed would have been up a bit more, so I would have carried more on exit. So it all flows. That's the three phases that it flows through the corner. On exit, certainly hard on the throttle. As soon as you can get the steering wheel straight, same philosophy. Hard on the throttle, up into third gear here. I get the car out to about 3/4 track and then start flowing it in. And you can see just start rolling out of the throttle. I try and avoid brake through this entire section. Grab a little bit of junk on the inside there just to piss your competitors off. But yeah, get in nice and tight. I hold the car very narrow through here, through the first half of the corner anyway, and then just use a bit of throttle to pick it up to push it out a little bit wider, come off the throttle to bring it back in. So effectively avoiding brake wherever possible. And then when you need this final bit of rotation, you just you're either grabbing a bit more lock, but once the car starts to rotate in, you can tell when you can start feeding it some throttle. Now, mistake number 2 for the lap was a bit of a slide there, so I was just a little too aggressive. But the biggest thing here is, if you look at the steering wheel through this entire corner, there's not a lot of undulate. It's just rotated. Bugger all. Yeah? Except for a little slide there. So the key to that is you're keeping constant load on the front of the car. You're not in and out. So as soon as you straighten the wheel up, you take load off the front tire. Yeah? Then you got to rotate the car again. You got to turn the steering wheel again to start loading it. So if you can maintain that steering angle, you'll keep the load on the front left, and then you can drive the car on the throttle. All right? Don't go out every time just trying to set fast laps. Just go and do, what's the active reset thing, right? This corner is worth tenths. If you can get this right, then what you apply here can apply through a bunch of corners, especially the next corner we're about to go through. But yeah, nice consistent steering input, and then just learning how to drive the car on the throttle makes a massive difference in this corner. So I encourage you to use active reset and go and do this corner 50 freaking times. Reset it from here, and focus on these 2 corners, because let's face it, they are the corners that make up and lose you the most amount of time. So yeah, nice in, early, grab a bit of grass, consistent steering angle, balance the throttle on and off to get your rotation. Be careful on the aggression there, but that is what it is. Down into here. Boom. So brake marker around the 1 board. So you can see I'm almost starting to rotate the car in just before I'm on the brake, and it's just a quick hit. So it's just bang, just to get a bit of weight on the nose, and it's similar to turn 5, the fast right that we talked about before. Third gear, I use third, you could use fourth, where it's just give the steering wheel a bit of a snap to get the car rotating. Same thing here. So you can just see that little bit of snap in the wheel. So it's just a little crack on the wheel, bang, get the car rotated, bring it out a little bit, and then feed it back in. Really nice, smooth trail, but the sooner you can pick up the throttle, the quicker you'll induce rotation in the car. And then you can really get back to full throttle and use it. Now, you can use a bit of grass here. It's not, you can use a bit of grass. I think the rule is more than half the tire over the white line or something. I don't even know if it's in there. It's not. But you can just get away with a smidge of grass here and it won't off track you. Obviously, too much more than that will be an off track. But yeah, so that's really what you want to do through there, is just that nice flick in, bit of trail to keep weight on the nose. As soon as it's in towards the curb, be patient getting back to the throttle, but get back on the throttle as soon as you can. If you grab too much, it'll understeer. If you don't grab enough, it'll be slow. But yeah, nice and hard on it. Straight away, aim across the track. I run quite a wide line here, obviously, out towards the white line so that you can open up this braking zone. You don't want to be in half track, um, half track here, and you're trying to squeeze the car around the corner whilst braking. You're just going to lock the brake. So try and open this entire radius up. So from this point here, which realistically you're using here, this is about setting yourself up for the brake zone. So nice and wide. Effectively into here is, once you get the car straight, is where I hit the brake. So bang, car's settled and straight. I'm on the brake. Big brake application. Nice and smooth all the way in. I use third here. Get the car in. Again, get a little bit over the curb. You see, inside here, the curb actually sort of has a bit of negative camber to it. So get the car in on the curb, and it'll rotate quite nicely for you. But third gear for me at the moment. Excuse me. I'll try second. But problem with second, I find it here, is that it unsettles the car a little bit because it is quite high in the rev range when you downshift into there. Whereas I find third gives you an opportunity to trail brake the car a little bit better. And then you can trail brake and rotate the car nicely and focus on that early throttle application on exit. Second gear, I would only use if potentially only use if you're overtaking someone. Yeah, so you need that extra bit of engine RPM to slow the car down as you're making a move up the inside. And then you obviously want the acceleration off the corner because you are going to slow the car up more if you're up the inside. That's just naturally going to happen. So third gear, if you're just in your race rhythm. Second gear, if you're making a move up the inside, is probably the option, unless you've got a very cooperative driver on the outside who's happy to let you have the position. Fight for another day. But yeah, so nice in, trail brake, wrap, in we go. Third, like I said, allows you to get on the throttle quite nicely, quite early. And you can see, sorry, I should take that back a bit further. You can see how early I am on the throttle. The old brake throttle overlap. But, we're on the throttle before apex almost to get the car out of there. So that says two things. I could brake a bit deeper, but it also says sort of maximising that apex speed. So get it out. Again, you kick up a bit of dust here, piss off your competitors. But yeah, up here, get the car back over the curb, up into fourth, obviously. This is the same thing. Quick snap on the wheel, bang, bit out. So it's in, out a little bit. Get the car, rotate a bit of brake just to get weight on the nose, and then pick up the throttle as early as you can. Reason being, it will induce rotation in the car so that you don't just steer straight out. I hate this time of day at Road America, but anyway. So I use... that weird? No, it wasn't weird. I try to use... There's a change in surface here. For me, that's my brake marker. You can see it there. So I'm a little early on the brakes here, but I struggle with this time of day at Road America with the glare on the track. But yeah, so roughly around about there is where I've traditionally broke. So I'm a few meters early. Excuse me, not massively early, but a little bit. Reason... I should do this when I'm far more awake and had more than one coffee. Reason it's important is you actually want to carry momentum into this corner. You've got to avoid your inside front locking. So definitely want to avoid your IFL. But the more speed you carry in, the better it'll be. Purely because your mid corner speed picks up. I find if you're a little slow into here, and this is what's happened here, I broke a bit early, that you slow the car down too much, the car rotates in too nicely, and then you're like, oh, I grabbed the throttle. And then because it's rotating too well on the throttle, it just has a mid-corner slide. So you do want to maximise this as best you can whilst trying to maximise your exit. I know it's a bit of a tricky one, but it is a tricky little corner. So again, nice, little bit of trail all the way in. You can see, look at the roll time. So nothing wrong with roll time at that corner, but that's what I was just talking about. So you want a little bit of roll time just to let the car get in, but I was too slow into here. So not what you want ideally. So Slow it right down. But get out to the curb, use it to help you rotate the car, and there's plenty of grip on the curbs around here. But yeah, you can see there, roll, 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 roll. That's a lot of roll time. Shouldn't have been there. Get back into the throttle. Get a little bit cocky because you're thinking, hey, how good's this? It rotated in really nicely. So you start feeding the throttle in, and straight away it's not happy. So that is what it is. So then back out of the throttle a little bit just to balance it, and then back into it. So that little bit there costs you 800. Cost me on that lap 800 to the finish line. So yeah, that's really the last corner of Road America. So little slide, little delay, and away you go. There was actually 2 slides in that, wasn't there? So we had the first one there, and then second one there. So yeah, wasn't ideal by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, look, Road America, really good fun track. You want to be aggressive at Road America, certainly on the race starts, but you've got to be patient and smart about it at the same time. I know that's probably an oxymoron, but I am a moron apparently. But you want to, you have an opportunity in the first couple of laps here, especially the first lap, to use some alternate lines or even use the race lines, because a lot of people go defensive early. You can use the race line to make up spots. Everyone that goes defensive, it's all well and good, but you slow yourself down dramatically on that defensive line because everyone else is trying to do the same thing. So try and maximize it. Try and think about getting the car onto the race line as soon as you can. Yeah, you might pick up a few spots here and there just with bottlenecks on the inside. But it is a flow track. It's a track you have to look after the tyres, and you certainly have to look after the front left. So if you think about into turn 3, there's a huge opportunity there to lock the front left, and that's going to hurt the tyre dramatically for this next corner. And that's just going to get progressively worse and worse. So maximize your braking zones, but look after those front tyres. So think about your bias. And like I said, focus on nice smooth steering inputs and using the rear of the car as much as you can to steer. That's going to look after your front tyre, which will give you more rotation in these high speed sections without impacting lap time. Trying to maximize the lap time and keeping it as consistent as you can is going to be key. And you can just see everything is front left, front left, front left. All the long radius corners, front left. So think about how you're driving the car. Think about driving it smooth, looking after it, defending. God, I say it every time, and anyone that wants to listen to me, don't defend. If you've got an opportunity to let a car through smartly, let them race you and get past you genuinely, not just pull over and let them go, but actually let them go past you. Make a pass. Give them a chance. If there's a gap behind them, then do it and use that as an opportunity to learn something. Use it as an opportunity to save some fuel, yeah? And they're obviously quicker. If they've got to you, then that means that they can get past you. So give them that chance and go with them. You'll learn something. You'll find it leads to far less incidents and people defending and then always on the radio about, oh, I've been punted or I've been hit or this has happened or, it's all about risk mitigation. And if you can choose your battles at the right times, your results will be better. You'll be happier. And, ultimately you'll just have a better race overall. Don't get me wrong, you fight when you got to fight. And if that's your style, that's fine. That's completely fine. But I'm a big believer in if there's an opportunity to go with a car, especially early in the race, obviously back into the race, you bloody defend your ass off. But early in the race, if there's an opportunity where you're not going to lose, multiple spots, then consider it. Think about it. Make the decision. You know what? If you can, or she, sorry, if the driver can make a move cleanly into 1, 2, 3, whatever that number looks like, then give them the opportunity to do it and go with them. Just calm your car down. Road America is the type of track that it's a bit of another oxymoron, but it is a track that the car behind always can do it easier. It's probably the way to say it. It's not that the car in front is slower. It's the type of track that when you're following someone, the car behind naturally just has a little bit more pace. So that means that you can save tyres, you can save fuel, you can do all sorts of stuff. So if you've got someone that's an eager beaver behind you who just wants to get past, you know what? Good luck to you. Have a think about it. Do I want to defend it, or do I want to try and go with them and save some car? Yeah, that's just my 2 cents for Road America. I hope you enjoy it. Hopefully I'm back on track this week, which I'm looking forward to getting in. It's good to see a bunch of new faces in Split 1. And it was great to see Dan Hall on the podium last week, by the way, mate. Well done. Don't know if you watched this or not, but yeah, so well done to him. But yeah, Bathurst done, Road America this week, Road Atlanta this week. I missed that one, but I will try and do a video. I know Stewie's back for his training. But if people want, drop it in the comments. I'm happy to do videos each week just to give you guys a bit of a hand as well as Stewie's training. But yeah, I miss Road Atlanta. I'm overseas for that one, but I will do a video for it regardless because that is a belter of a racetrack. Absolutely love it. But anyway, thanks guys, and have a great week's racing.